What is up? So this is the first reading back off my full moon. I don't I don't even want to call it a break. It's not a break. I don't have a choice. I can't do readings. The last few full moons, like I think how many readings, like actual recorded readings that I do in the last 5 days? One or two, I don't know. I had like different like stuff that I couldn't not do, like live, like like phone, like kind of like live, current astrology live readings, which teaching lessons, stuff like that. But that's different, that's a different part of my brain. By the way, I have like groceries coming any second, so just know that I'm probably gonna pause this in any minute. But yeah, so welcome. Let's get that timer going. I'm keeping my readings to an hour. It says that now. This technically, I don't count this kind of intro where I'm not really saying much. So okay, let's start the timer. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so right off the bat, Sarah, which of course I must hide your identity. I'm so happy that we got the right birth time, because that was a close call, very, very close. I'm just gonna go with Sarah S with like 1,000 S's. Why the F not? So let's go ahead and share this, because I look like a defected walrus that mated with a Aboriginal cheetah. Don't even try to understand what that means. Doesn't mean anything. It's just random words that came to my mind. Okay. So by the way, they have arrived, so I will probably stop the recording in a second. So we have here a special moon conjunct Chiron, someone with the Mars there in the first house with the Virgo rising. We have a classic Virgo healer here, which is maybe one of the best, if not the best type of healer, right? Virgo, the nurturer. It's a sign that has so much love and so much patience and so much dedication to service and humanity. And of course, you've gone through trials and tribulations in your life. You've gone through a lot of emotional pain that you've had to overcome, in terms of like your father and your mother. My girlfriend gets this. They keep fucking, so I feel so bad because my neighbors are hearing this. Oh my god. Don't get me started. But anyways, so one sec. You're not getting it! Oh my god. I swear, my girlfriend, I want to kill her sometimes. Not in that way, it just annoys. All right, I am back. Had groceries delivering. It was quite a scene. Just a lot of confusion, and just, it is what it is. But okay, so let's go back to sharing the screen. So as you see here, we clearly have a Virgo healer within the first house. I definitely think that you're, with a sun in Cancer already right off the bat, just the fact that you have that and your moon is in Virgo, your sun, you are like, if I had to pick out a zodiac big three for my mother, for any mother, I would say exactly what you have. You have a nurturing instinct, right? Because Cancer and Virgo are the two most nurturing signs. Take a nice sip of my kombucha. So let's pull up the real deal aspect grid. Let's get everything going up here. So okay, I see quite a few squares to the moon. You know, but they're inner planets. So most importantly, you got moon opposite Saturn. So moon and Virgo opposite Saturn. I've made posts in the past about perfectionism. You are probably like, it probably makes just like perfect sense for you if you've read those posts. Like, perhaps your mother was someone who was rather strict, someone who had high expectations of you, right? But you also have very, very high expectations of yourself. And, you're born in 95. So this shows by your maturity. You were forced to grow up really quickly. And, as a Cancer, you're an emotional being. You're very attached to your family. And the Virgo part, it's very, very analytical, but there's definitely an aspect to it with that square, and the sun is unaspected, so that means like that kind of Cancerian part of you, and it's conjunct Black Moon Lilith, so you're meant to be a witch. You're meant to be an alchemist. You're meant to be, but also like you could really kind of be in touch with that kind of darker part of your personality, that like Cancer, Black Moon Lilith, I think of it as like an energy of like, okay, like at your worst, when you're kind of in your lowest vibe, using like kind of emotional manipulation, maybe running away from like vulnerability and not wanting to express emotions, which, the fact that the moon is opposite Saturn is going to add that theme even more. So I believe that people are, are their distinct zodiac signs in this lifetime for reasons, right? And I think that when you're like a water sign like me and you, there's something, we look at your North Node, right, where it's in Scorpio. Like I said, boom, 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 boom. That's how I roll. I was just gonna say this without even seeing your North Node, that there's a big, big purpose for you to get more in touch with the emotions, with the water, right? That's why your North Node, which is the mountain never climbed in past lives, is in a water sign, a Scorpio. So in this lifetime, you're meant to really, really go into your emotions. You're really meant to go into your shadow. This right here, this Black Moon Lilith, right? Conjunct Sun, like that is definitely about, 1 second. About, like it's not like Sun conjunct Pluto where you're just like, but it's definitely like, Black Moon Lilith plays a huge role in Black Moon Lilith, the repressed feminine, but also like this kind of like this energy that can come out when you're kind of least expecting it. So self-sabotaging, you have to watch out for that. But I definitely see at its highest of you being like a very, like just like a very magical witchy healer, like you being a healer. And the fact that this, like you have the classic signature of a healer, and I speak fast because I have a lot to say, right? Like I've heard readings by the Peace Dealer. I was watching his stuff the other day, and he speaks. Nothing against him. I respect the fact that he puts some of his readings up, but I just don't have the ability to speak like this, because it would take me 2 or 3 hours to communicate all the information I need to communicate to you. You see what I'm saying? I talk fast because I think fast. My brain moves extremely fast, and I have to like I have to get all this information across to you. And that's why people usually have to watch these readings like, multiple times before the follow-up. Which, did you get a follow-up? I don't know. If you didn't, hold on, I should probably know that. And don't worry, this isn't like cutting into your time, like when I do stuff like this, that I should have already known. Let's see if you have a follow-up, because if you don't, you definitely should get one. I think you have one though. Where you at? Just reading. Okay, yeah. So yeah, obviously, like the follow-up is like a great way for us, unless you really know your chart really well. Let me go back to it. And I know, like, I try to forget everything I know about the client. I have no idea what you look like. I have no idea. I know you're born in 95. I literally have no idea. I just know that from what I remember, you seem to have like a pretty good understanding of astrology, like somewhat of a good understanding of astrology, or at least mixed pieces. I don't know. But the follow up, like unless you like really really know your chart, I highly suggest booking a follow up. I'd be happy to give you one for $90, which is like usually $150. It's an hour scheduled live either over Zoom or over call, and I would love to do that. So that's what I was saying, right? So this is a big theme in your life, right? Getting past emotional pain right here. And perfectionism, right? That comes to that emotional pain of how can I always be the best? How can I always be like how can my expectations for myself just be augmented and augmented and augmented to the point where they're just like out of this world, right? So the simple way is to look at your opposite sign, right? Which of course Saturn there is going to kind of block some of that energy till like the Saturn return around 29 and a half years of age. But just in general, when you have a lot of Virgo, you want to look at Pisces, right? Because that's the axis of Virgo and Pisces. And you can understand what can a Virgo learn from a Pisces? What can a Pisces learn from a Virgo? That's it, the question. It's like that with every opposite sign. Well, in your case, Pisces are the dreamer. Virgo is the doer. Virgo puts the steps together that Virgo is also very, very dreamy and very, very like spiritual, like it's a very spiritual sign. Although it can tend to not be, but so can Pisces. Like we've all met Pisces that are just like super non-spiritual. I would like a bunch of them in my own family. But the point is this: is that when and you're young, so I gotta give it to you raw. You're not like a lot of my clients are like born in the 60s, 70s. I get them from all over. Lately I've been appealing more to the youth, which I'm very happy about because I have a very very large hope. Not that I'm not old, obviously. And once I cut this hair, I'll be looking young. Although I'm gonna go to my natural hair color, so I might not look as young as I would if I go blonde as I usually do. But like basically, perfectionism is implanted into us, right, through society and through our family, whatever it is, that you as a person, your value is linked to how well you do, right? Fulfill this role, be this person, like get to this college, get this grade. And what happens is that it distances the human from their own emotional, authentic nature and makes them strive to be something that they're not meant to be. So also, I always get this kind of, I always say this with people who have this signature is that the best way when you're dealing with perfectionism, Pisces, they just go with the flow. They don't like, they're not super analytical, overly analytical. I see that in various parts of your chart as someone who could be like, just like really, really like observant, which is such a talent. Like you'd be the best person to just like whatever kind of career, like, which is like most careers, like needs that consistency and that ability to just like analyze and just like observe and use logic and very high intelligence. Like you got that. But when it comes to your spiritual life, there's a lot of like letting go that has to happen and a lot of moving past, which this goes back to your north node, which in a chart, the north node represents kind of your destiny, like where you're meant to be, where you're meant to go. It's like the 3 point, it's like if the south node, which is the opposite sign, is your past life tendency, it's like a layup basketball. It's like the easy route, the been there, done that. The north node is kind of the like what you aspire to be, but there's a lot of difficulty in getting there. And that just shows the fact that you have a Cancer sun, that expressing your emotions and your intuition and that real compassionate and trusting that and being vulnerable has been really difficult. And you've inherited reincarnated, excuse me, or inherited. Interesting that word came out. Make what you will. And this is usually the mother. The moon is usually the mother. Hopefully we'll have our follow up, and you can tell me, or even if you don't, you can still tell me, if it's the mother or father. But basically, like that moon opposite Saturn, which is kind of adding to that, and it's adding to someone who would have a lot, who definitely one could struggle with depression, 100%. And two, could just have issues, right? Could have emotional issues and have a lot of like kind of be a loner, which cancers, right? When we think about them, it's a crab that kind of climbs back into their shell, like once they've been hurt. And even a very highly evolved like cancer, could still be like that, right? They can still have this fear of trusting again. And you're here to really go through death, rebirth, transformation. I say it in so many readings, but that's because my clients are people that have gotten to that point in their soul's evolution where they're really ready to really surrender parts of their ego and move on to a higher way of being, right? And we can get into all the specifics of your chart, but like let's get this. I don't care about how much someone knows about astrology, about the fixed stars, about the aspects. Like let's just be very zoomed out, because that's what I do. I give you the cosmic message. I do the same. I mean, of course, my readings are altered a little bit for someone that understands astrology, as they would be for someone that has zero understanding. But I don't like to alter them that much, because I think that my perspective might be, because I'm completely self-taught, and I might see something like I might say something in a way that no other astrologer has said before, right? That's not an ego thing for me. That's because like another astrologer, like we each see the chart in our own way. Another astrologer could also do the exact same thing in a different way. So I'm closing my eyes right now because I'm kind of starting to channel. I'm doing this new thing where I'm just leaving it here. You don't see my face, and I'm just like kind of closing my eyes and meditating and just kind of peering at the chart. I think I'm gonna do this probably with every reading starting now. And then kind of switch back with my face. But like, yeah, this first house Virgo, it's like, the stellium is definitely about you moving towards like getting past that perfectionism. And what does Virgo look like at a higher level? I think of it as like this white ball, this pure, it's like purity. It's like this white, pure white energy. And of course, pure white is perfection. But like, the Virgo lesson is like, how can I, if I'm a white ball, right? A white, like imagine like a beautiful white, not just white, like marble, like that sexy, like white kind of marble that you see in those million dollar mansions, like, like granite, whatever the fuck it's called. Like that kind of white, with some shine to it. But there's some little stains here and there, right? It's not just perfect white, but it's about you learning to accept that. You learning to be okay, and not only be okay, but to embrace that, to embrace your imperfections, because they are what make you you. No human is perfect, only God is perfect, right? And I don't know how many times that needs to be said to the Virgo person, because they are actually the closest sign to perfect. But sometimes they look at themselves and they diminish themselves, and they see other people and they minimize themselves, and they make other people more than they are in their own head. While in reality, it's flip-flopped. They're actually higher up, not to create a power structure dynamic here. With you get what I'm trying to say, like in terms of competence and overall, just like, let's say it's school or job or whatever it is, or just even like spirituality. So that's the thing. So that's the thing. You're meant to be a healer. I don't know what if you've decided in your career, but something healing, something, it could even be a doctor, it could be a therapist, it could be anything, but something where you're helping people. And your midheaven is in Taurus, like mine, very close to mine, actually. You do have, so, okay. So you mentioned something in the chat, I just remember, about having Regulus rising. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll talk about it because I have it too. But when I see a Virgo rising at 0 degrees, like it's not something that my mind has allowed me. I'd be curious if we do a follow-up to see if you resonate with that. But I'm like someone who's very much on like the whole, like, I think Regulus is pure Leo, of course it has ingressed into to Virgo, and cusps, I haven't really gotten into cusps with ascendant. I've really seen them so like clearly obvious in sun signs. But one could make the case that it could be in ascendants too. Let's just say, like, if you do have Regulus rising, there's going to be great responsibility. It's going to give a very like kind of king queen energy to you, that other people really notice. But you still are a Virgo rising. At the end of the day, like that's what matters. And the fact that your chart's Mercury ruled as opposed to Sun ruled, that makes a huge difference. So I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't want to bruise your your ego. And maybe I'm wrong. I would need to talk to you to kind of figure it out. But when I see anyone, like, unless it's like I don't know, you are born after. Let's see what it says. Because I'm kind of like when it comes to fixed stars, like I'm kind of like a scientist in that sense. Like, you do not have Regulus rising. Get these bugs away from me. Oh, not responding. Awesome. Not responding. Okay. So yeah, I mean, when you were born, it was in Leo. So, and it's still, a degree away. So I'm not really going to go into that. I'm sorry, but I will speak about, Algol over there. But and then of course Black Lilith and Sirius. Yeah, but Sirius is far enough. Yeah, it's like 2 degrees away, so it's like barely. When it's a fixed star, 2 degrees to me, it's too much. That's my opinion. I would think I would use like 1 degree orbs on those. Like, that's my personal opinion. But then again, like, my brother is born on the same day as you, and it's weird that Sirius says that shows to be 2 degrees away. I'll still talk about it a little bit later. But yeah, so as I was saying, you're definitely you're meant to really assert yourself in this kind of like this kind of Virgo way. Virgo's, yeah, it's about service, and it's definitely about like kind of the day to day, what it takes to kind of get to, like, it's about health, and helping other people with their health. But it's like the steps it takes to get to where you want to get. And where you want to get is the MC ruled by Venus, which is in conjunct Mercury in the 10th house. So you could have something like something with writing, something related to art, something related to where you use your gift of gab, per se, with that beautiful Mercury and Gemini, right, and dignity conjunct Venus, which is adding some sweetness to it. I would imagine that you'd use that combination very, very strongly in your career, right? But like, definitely like midheaven Taurus, like, which I never really resonated with until now. There's definitely like a desire for money, not just money, but like stability and I think it's deeper than that. I think midheaven and Taurus, like, when I really try to relate to it for myself, I think it has to do with like just that peace. Like you really want a career that because, like, the highest archetype of Taurus is heaven on earth, something that you connect with on a high level of, like, where you feel so at peace with your work, right? One quick second, I'm pulling something up. My phone. Hold up. Okay, so yeah, so back, kind of, I want to backtrack a little bit with the moon and Black Moon Lilith. I'm gonna read something I found. So it says, this position might numb your pain of feeling like an outcast. Establishing a strong bond with roots and family becomes the prime focus of this placement, which is interesting because you're a Cancer, right? So there could be some really, like, interesting karma. Why is my aspect grid not popping up? Blah, 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 blah. Nodes, where you at? Just Uranus. Interesting. Okay. That's crazy. Okay. So if someone tries to become a hurdle in your cause or creates misunderstandings, you react impulsively. No one can put your voice down when you're right. You do not hesitate to talk about your pains and pleasures. You must learn to follow the direction of intuition to reach your highest potential in personal and professional domains. So, learn to follow your intuition, right? The sun conjunct Black Moon Lilith resonates with themes of love, life, and relations. Your feelings encourage you to change yourself wherever necessary to achieve what you want in life. So this is a big focus I see, is that it is kind of like that Pluto, obviously not as powerful, but like it's really about like you. It's the same theme of like you are really, really a young age, especially like your shadow's thrown right in front of you. Like you're very, very aware. Maybe maybe not even aware is the right word. It's just such a big theme, but because it's so close, it's not a Kazemi because it's not if Black Moon Lilith was an actual planet, it would be a Kazemi, right? Which would make it a superpower. I have no idea. It doesn't exist a Kazemi with Sun Black Moon Lilith, but like the point is that it's so close that it's so close to home that it might be hard to see in yourself. But yeah, like just like all about like having this deep awareness of your darkness and learning how to overcome it. And that's kind of linked to this part of the chart with the Chiron and the moon and the Mars over here in the ascendant, right? All that like Virgo energy, healing, being a healer, because like that's the greatest way out. And it's in the first house. That's like a big part of your personality and who you are. So it says the sun conjunct this is associated with a confident sense of right and wrong and steering yourself into righteous direction, even if the majority thinks it's wrong. Those governing this aspect rebel against the status quo and believe in equality while empowering others. So the closeness of these two makes it feel eclipsed and extends sensitivity to you. Despite the countercultural behavior, so that, yeah, there's definitely some rebelliousness, kind of Uranian energy, which is interesting. So your nodes are squaring Uranus. Your natural sexual instincts help you connect with nature and instill a desire to strengthen your bond with family. The conjunction makes you feel at home with your unique style and flamboyant personality. The support of Lilith makes you open-minded and welcoming to transformation and ensuring your voice is heard and acknowledged. So it's, once again, transformation. North Node in Scorpio, transformation. The third house, using your voice, finding your authentic voice that leads you to transformation. Pluto in the third house too. Every single time I see the same sign for the two what I would say are the two most like destiny based, like you like kind of you follow them and you get to like your highest purpose. When they're in the same house, you know that house is a major importance, and it's the third house. I don't say house of Gemini, house linked to Gemini, which guess what? You have two planets in Gemini up here. So let's connect those dots. And just say that there is a massive importance, and it's this. I don't know if you're following everything I'm doing, but like I'm creating a puzzle where basically your midheaven is in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, which is right here in the 10th house of career, which is conjunct Mercury in Gemini, and then also your North Node and your Pluto, which represent like your highest growth, kind of the shadow you have to overcome, like to really with on Pluto on this IC. I had that too. We've spoken about that. That represents family trauma. I don't think it's square the nodes like mine is, so it's in this lifetime. Family / early childhood trauma doesn't have to be family. Basically like it's about you, and where's your Chiron? Is it gonna be in a yeah, once again it's in Virgo, so it's like that's also Mercury, right? So much of your chart is about finding your own voice, finding that feeling of empowerment, and essentially, yeah, moving past like the perfectionism. So these are major themes, right? And yeah, so that's very, very interesting. So these are some great connections. Let's continue. Let's finish this little article. It's very, very short. So the conjunction makes you feel at home with your unique style and flamboyant personality. The support of Lilith makes you open-minded and welcoming to transformations and ensuring your voice is heard and acknowledged. Become a poster child for community work is highly likable for you. I think they meant to say likely. Key themes associated with this are remarkable talents and leadership skills, activism, enjoying creative imagination, sexuality, and drawing attention towards solving critical issues. Interesting. So, yeah, moon's over here. So it's squaring this. So we continue this cosmic puzzle. So all of this is just so linked to your greatest, like your greatest. So you see how this connects beautifully, and this is just gorgeous. Astrology is gorgeous. I need to show you my face for this one. Actually, no, for a second, then we'll go back to the chart because it's so fucking gorgeous. Okay, so we see how, like I've explained kind of how, like, the 10th house, like the Gemini energy, you're meant to find your voice. It's meant to come out in your dharma, career, whatever you do for your outer purpose, right? Now, when it's square your moon in Virgo, right? Which I can go into for an hour about what a Virgo moon means, right? Virgo moon conjunct Chiron, right? Virgo moon is the ultimate perfectionist. It can, a lot of people with Virgo moons, not all, a lot of them have like anxiety issues with anxiety, social anxiety, not thinking they're good enough. And it comes from that holding themselves to unrealistic standards and ideals that they just can't achieve. They're unachievable. Now, also Virgo moon, there's like, there can be some OCD tendencies too. And but basically, like the point I'm getting at is that Virgo energy and also the Mars, in the Chiron, it's blocking because it's squaring this, right? It's blocking, and you have Mercury square Chiron, which is going exactly with what I'm saying, because that square represents like you're feeling like you could truly express yourself being blocked at a young age. Your life is really about finding your authentic voice, and I think a lot of it has to do with the parent, and I would guess it would be the mom. And when this square happens, yeah, it definitely creates that tendency to want to kind of shut the fuck up and not say much, and not really dive into your real power. And that's what this chart, what the divine is asking for you to do, is to be brave and to allow yourself to just like move past and take risks and joy. Even like 11th house sun, to join, which mean if you get a follow-up, we can talk about something specific I have in mind. You'll just have to remind me about that in relation to groups. But like, joining up with groups of people that are like-minded and that see things the way you do. That's important as hell. But what I am getting at is the fact that this perfectionist energy, this energy that makes you kind of want to fit into a box, right? And you have South Node square Uranus. So obviously this has been an issue in the past, right? Where you haven't been able to individuate and be your own person enough, right? That's the Uranus. It's a great liberator. It's the one who's not afraid to be their own person. The fact that square exists already speaks to your karma, and that Pluto is on the IC, which speaks to childhood trauma. So I'm guessing I have that too, but mine's square the nodes, which means that mine's more past life based than yours. It's basically saying that all of the lower energy related to your Virgo-ness is blocking your highest integration into the North Node, into the third house, the highest, like finding your voice, your true authentic voice, and letting it out, which is what you're really here to do. One could say in a Placidus chart that your Pluto would be in the fourth house. I would argue that it would be in both houses, and this is why I would argue this, or that it would make sense in both. Anything conjunct the IC, it's taking the fourth house, right? I do the whole house astrology. I believe, it's just my belief that it just works the best. So regardless, though, they're in the same sign, and even if Pluto was in the fourth house, you'd still have your North Node in the third house. You'd still have that there. That would still be enough. And it just makes complete sense, right? That you're really, really here to transform your way of, one, like getting information and knowledge, who you trust, who you put your faith into, but also like being able to like really develop yourself as a communicator and as a deep, deep thinker, but like, and someone that gets out of that box, that gets out of that, because Virgo can trap themselves. Trust me, I have some Virgos in my life, and I have some. My best friend Trey, who's a very magical Virgo, who's like, he is more of a Pisces than a Virgo, even though he has 0 Pisces in his chart. More, I guess his sun is literally the last, like it's like at the very last second of like Virgo, so he's more like a Libra, Virgo moon, but like still double Virgo. But like Virgos can really go like many different directions. So I understand that, but for you, there has to be some level of independence and some level of like autonomy. Because in past lives, and I'll go back to showing the chart because I know this, like you do have this understanding, and my hair looks like fucking shit. Actually, it doesn't look that bad right now. So with the South Node here in Taurus, right, ruled by Venus as well. But regardless of what's ruled by, there's definitely in energy, right, that kind of keeps you from. It kind of keeps you from taking risks in past lives, and kind of makes you seek like the continue to seek like what's known, what's sure, like what is like the, not the easy route, but just like what you're used to, you know what I mean? Like that's what Taurus is. Taurus likes, like, it likes things that they can rely on, that they know are not going to change. So in this life, you're really going to have situations and things of that nature. You're going to have situations and experiences that are very karmic, that are going to come up, and they're going to really push you into like, having to take these deep risks, whether it's like relationships, right, which we'll talk about next, or just like life itself, right? Like it's, you can definitely expect that. And in past lives, there definitely could have been like an over reliance on kind of believing what you were told, as opposed to going out and getting the information, which is also like, with the Virgo energy. So my advice is use the Virgo energy. We can talk about this more in the follow-up if you get it. First of all, you're still probably in the process of getting past the pain. The Chiron conjunct moon is speaking of deep emotional pain related to the mother. Opposite Saturn makes it even more difficult, right? And this one really affects your relationships, because like the moon is what makes you comfortable, but it's also like there's like definitely self-esteem issues can appear. And when there's Mars and air in that Virgo, it can create someone who, and trust me, I've experienced this with my own brother, who is so hypercritical on himself internally. That's kind of how it works, like within, that he projects it, really, really misdirects the energy onto like, people close to him. And that might be something that you might do, especially with your IC and Scorpio, like you have with me, same as me, right? You might have very volcanic and kind of like, and it's not to say that your relationship with your mother, your dad isn't a good one. It might be fine. What I'm saying is that there's some unconscious shit that has to be dealt with. Like maybe it comes up like once every few years, but it reveals something so deep. Like me with my dad, we're cool. This is like years ago. We get drunk. We're both drunk, and he says some shit. We nearly get, like, we weren't about to actually fight, but like we were like we were really close, like close in the sense of like we were it was deep. And that's like the alcohol, is Pluto, right, slash Neptune. It's a mix, right? The intoxication is Neptune. Pluto rules alcohol. So anyways, also you have to watch out for addictions with that position. And definitely just some advice. I don't know if you live in New York, and you could also get like an astrocartography reading at some point too, because if you're living close to where you're born, that means that you live on your Pluto IC line. I made that mistake for the first 25 years of my life. led me to rehab. I don't know if you know about my book. I talk a little bit about it. It was Xanax addiction, but basically, like, anyone Pluto on the IC, I say like move away from like move in a different geographical zone, like than where you're from, because you'll feel it. You'll feel it within weeks, like just like that energy of the Pluto IC. But that's a different reading. But basically, that's just like my advice. Like, get the hell away from New York if that's where you're still living. If you want to have like a more peaceful life, but like then again, like Pluto IC, it's about healing. But sometimes it's hard to heal when you're so in the pain and in the crises, and they keep coming up. Anyways, I continue. I feel like that just really resonated, or will resonate when you see this. Moon, yeah. So you might have also issues expressing your emotions. Kind of linking your emotions to your, to your like there'll be a big difference between like the link between heart and throat, which is such a huge, it speaks to that, right? I already kind of spoke about that, right? Like the Virgo versus Gemini, like getting access to that heart chakra. The longest journey is from I'm making gestures with my hand right now, from the heart to the throat. And the throat chakra represents like, authentic expression. But you can only have authentic expression when you've gone into your heart and you've sifted through the different conditioning that society has thrown on you and gotten to a more authentic version of yourself, which can be very, very difficult for someone with trauma. But as I'm saying all this right now, and I'm getting this intuition to tell you this, like, you are so ahead. You're born in 1995. You're so ahead. So, like, even with this, don't get all perfectionist about this. This is just a process, my friend. This is just a process. Like, you're gonna make it to where you need to make it. Even the awareness of this is very, 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 very key. I'm sure you know your chart, and I'm sure I don't know what you know. But anyways, and then Moon conjunct Mars and Virgo in the first house, like, once that's challenged like a higher energy, I just see you being like a major like healer and someone who can really, really like also just like someone who can be quite assertive and whose emotions and like kind of like what, like, how they are kind of like is very, very, like, you're able to be like a very, very great go-getter. Kind of, you have no Aries in your chart, but you don't have any fire in your chart either. But first house stellium, we call it stellium. Ascendant, Mars, Moon, Chiron wouldn't really count there, but still, that's someone who can go after what they want, even though Virgo rising people tend to be more like executionary, like more kind of like analytical, waiting kind of before they kind of jump in and do their thing. And making your chart Mercury rule, which we keep seeing Mercury coming up, right? Which, when we look at the aspects of Mercury, it's square Mars and square Saturn. So Venus and these are also square Saturn. So, to me, this speaks to your self-esteem. There could be self-esteem issues. 29-degree Venus, also critical degree. So, in that sense, you're coming to like the end of a karmic cycle as it relates to your way of relating to yourself, right? And to that, to your way of what you value in this world. So a 29-degree planet can feel a lot like a retrograde planet. So the fact that Venus, is square Saturn and Saturn's in the 7th house, that can be really, really frustrating for relationships. And I think I have these headphones for a reason, because I have my machine going off for my clothes, but hopefully you don't hear anything. I'm pretty sure you just block out outside noise. They do. So stay on the freaking ads. But this can create someone who can be a little bit relationship obsessed, but like lots of frustration until like the Saturn return with Saturn in the 7th house. So the best advice there is to work on yourself, get past the perfectionism, work on the relationship with mother, whoever the hell it is, like whatever parent represents moon in your chart, whether it's working on that relationship or working around healing that self. Because the first, you're meant to heal yourself. All the trauma you've gone through, you were meant to go through it. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that like all your childhood was bad. You do have Jupiter in the 4th house, so there definitely was some level of like expansion. Maybe your parents were divorced, and you had a very good relationship with one and very bad with the other, right? That could be totally a scenario. And maybe you learned a lot from your childhood. Maybe and also like 4th house Jupiter is a very, very strong position for just being someone who is has like this inner well of optimism, so very, very good stuff. I love that Jupiter in the 4th house, and it's also very good for like careers and like real estate, like anything like that's meant to like make people like feel like at home, like a restaurant, like any kind of service like that, right? Where it's like related to like the home, or like, and it's in Sagittarius, so it could be like something related, like when you mix that Cancer 4th house stuff with travel, adventure, higher philosophy, learning, stuff like that. Which goes with your midheaven in the 9th house, right? Which is saying that your career in some way is linked to the 9th house, which is once again the house of Sagittarius. Like traveling physically, traveling metaphorically, philosophy, but way more philosophical. And I see people with midheavens in the 9th, 10th, or 11th in the whole house system, and it gives implications to their career. So yeah. But back to what I was saying before, Venus square Mars, it's going to give like more issues with, I'll switch back to my face for now. It's going to create more issues with self-esteem and kind of like self-love, and it will definitely, it can create, like I said, like a relationship obsessed person, someone who can be a little bit like overly analytical with the Virgo, and just like overthinking situations that don't really require overthinking, which I totally used to be like that, so I can totally relate. So yeah, the best advice is to just kind of like figure out outlets, like whether it's a creative outlet or even like something that you love doing that kind of can take you out in a very healthy way, right? 1 second. Okay. So yeah, that's very important. Hold on. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's see. 0-degree ascendant is also very, very karmic. It's a new beginning. It can kind of give an energy of like a very raw energy. So early in life, I always think of it as kind of like 12th housey, like it's just like kind of like a very raw, like childish energy that has to go through trials and tribulations because it can kind of get pushed around. But overall, like just the fact that Virgo rising, with all these other Virgo planets, it, I was talking about like the whole thing with Virgo is that you can still do your best. Like think about each day on a scale of 1 to 100, right? Maybe one day you can get 98, right? If you're grading yourself. Maybe the next day it's just 70. The next day it's 80, and then it's 40, then it's 10, but then it's 100 or like whatever, But the whole point is that like the biggest thing for Virgo is to learn through that metaphor to have self-compassion and to accept when you have shortcomings and just do your best, because lots of Virgos, they self-capitulate and they have these ideals that are so high, and when they get just short, they just say, okay, 100 or 0, I'm just gonna give up, fuck this shit. Like if I can't do it, like my girlfriend's mom, and she's having a Virgo, but it's a perfect example. She was taking her like super hard, like the driving test for Romania is so hard, and she just missed it. But she's so stubborn that she started talking about like, oh, I'm not gonna take it again, like screw that, like it's like, yo, you literally like were like only a few questions off. You're only allowed to miss 4, and you got like really hard questions. Like you could totally pass it. So that's kind of the energy of that with Virgo, right? So yeah, let's see here. The Mercury square Saturn, that can lead to more shyness, and just yeah, more shyness and more like kind of pushback towards that life mission of really of allowing parts of yourself to die in order for you to like be reborn and to communicate your message, your cosmic deep soul wrenching message, right? So lots of pushback from whatever parent that represents. Probably, this could even be the father here with Saturn, or the patriarchy in general. But yeah, love will be tough with the 7th house. And this is one of these rare readings with a 0-degree ascendant that, it's going to be very, very similar, like Placidus, like whatever system you use, your reading is going to be very similar. As opposed to me with like my 28-degree Leo rising. But yeah, so let's see here. Unaspected sun, I like that because it's conjunct Black Moon Lilith, which isn't a planet, but like I just think that it can kind of make someone like, it's in Cancer. Let's show this chart again. So like, I mean, if it was in Leo, I'd be like, damn, watch out. This person might be like all over the place, but in Cancer, I think that it can be like, basically there's no major aspects from any planets, right? So it's kind of like yeah, it's kind of like your sun, the core essence of who you are, your identity, has no checks and balances, right? So yeah, like basically it's one second. Hold on. Like I like the unaspected sun. I read somewhere that like more Hollywood stars have like unaspected suns than any other like planet. So it could be like a sign of a star, because like that sun, that ability for you to shine, of course you have to get past the Black and Lilith stuff, isn't like held back by anything, but it's just your moon that's held back, that holds you back a lot. But like yeah, so it can kind of feel like you still have to like bring it up from its like kind of like it's almost like also a little bit like buried. I don't know, it's hard to describe. Like and that's like all an aspect of planets are like that. They're like buried treasures. Like they can stay buried or they can be unearthed. And it's not always easy. But yeah, there's definitely lessons around like what it means to be like very unique, very independent. Like also like around ego and learning what's under your control and what's not. There can be weak ego until like the lessons are learned around like harnessing the ego. And yeah, there's just lots of trial and error that has to go on. So yeah, there's no substitute besides just like trial and error, just doing, learning lessons of the ego by just doing. And then somewhere in that process, you discover like that unique voice, that unique light, and then that's where you figure out how you can shine, and that's star energy. So yeah. So let's see. No, lots of nice aspects of the moon, from like Uranus, trine, Neptune, blah blah blah. So that's like very creative also. Even though you have issues with like getting that creativity out. Like once you move past, when you can get to the highest energy of the Virgo and get past that these squares, in that conjunction, like you have this real ability to be like a very like so much firepower, kind of like a spiritual power to this Virgo. Like you could be the person that starts off their life as like the kind of low vibe, not low vibe, wrong word. Like nervous, anxious, like low self-esteem, all that stuff, kind of Virgo. And then like you get past it, you do lots of inner work, and it leads to like someone who is like just like that earth magic I was talking about. Now, I want to speak about like the lack of fire in your chart. Obviously, you have you have plenty of earth. You have water, and you have air, but there's no fire in terms of like personal planets. So basically, like when you lack fire, you can lack motivation. You can lack that kick in the butt you need sometimes to get moving. Now, I said before that you have all this first house, which is the house linked to the sign Aries, fire. So that can help that a lot. However, you still don't have fire planets. And I think it's extra important. Maybe like, in a mate, you might seek out someone who has a little bit of that fire. But you just have to like kind of like push yourself to start things, right? And I see this grand trine here, right, between Uranus, Moon, and midheaven. So when I think of that, I think of like, okay, well, there's a talent for you in some way to use your, the fact that the moon is trying, and also like you can add the fact that Vertex and Neptune are in there. So these are these like that's basically me saying that like your career, once you get past the like that Virgo like perfectionist BS, like the difficult parts of OCD, all that like that very difficult like where you're not able to see anything besides like what's in front of you and get out of like a certain mindset, then you can start to like channel that in, channel these like these like out of this like these are the ambassadors into our solar system, like these planets, right? These are ruling like high intuition, high, like they're very very psychic powers, and you can channel those into your career and do something your career that's related to that. Which, speaking of career, midheaven conjunct algol, as you were saying in the chat, if I remember correctly, and you're right on the money. Now, algol gets a bad rap in astrology, for many reasons. Because it's typically associated with pain, suffering, violence, decapitations, losing one's head, like mentally also. And there's been lots of like history linking it with like actual decapitations and stuff like that. But what I'm here to say is that algol, there's definitely a spiritual side to it also. And on a midheaven, like it's kind of like it's kind of like you choose your road, right? Like there can be lots of honor and preferment that comes from the midheaven in algol if you choose the right route, right? So like you just have to watch out to not be like to choose a career that is kind of linked to healing and linked to bettering society, and also that's in line with that high Scorpio energy, which is like developing your developing yourself on that spiritual level, right? And going through the death rebirth transformations within yourself. That's super 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 important. But yeah, I definitely don't really look at algol in that way. So yeah, I mean, like if you live your life with like an honest sense of purpose to it, where you're trying to like live to some kind of philosophy, like a higher ideal, then it'll be a good thing, right? Like I have alcohol on my midheaven too. I don't think I'm gonna get decapitated. And like maybe me and you, we have some similarities, right? Or I mean, the fact that you're born in '95 and you're seeking out a reading from me, that says something about you. That says that you're mature beyond your years, and by the time you're my age, 32, who knows where you'll be at. So take it easy, and have some fun also. Speaking of fun, Uranus and Neptune in the 5th house of fun, you definitely can be someone who's very in creativity, who's very, very creative, but who through your creative pursuits can channel like these like out of this like solar system energies, right? That I was speaking of before. And but yeah, before I go deep, let's talk. Let's like kind of, I haven't really spoken that much about love. Obviously, with the moon in Virgo, like you'll need someone who is a rock, who you can rely on. That's a no-brainer. Someone who understands kind of the pain that you have, and who is very, very consistent. That's what Virgo moons need. They need someone who, because Virgo moons, their love language a lot of times can be based on like what they do. Even though your Venus is in Gemini, which is like a very curious Venus sign, it kind of makes someone who like, they want to try different things. They want to, they're the kind of person that might date someone based off of just like being interested in like something that person does, and not actually have any romantic. I've heard like clients tell me funny stories about that. Where like, yeah, I dated this guy just because he like played this instrument or something like that, and then yeah, so it can get you into trouble. But that's the thing with the Venus 29-degree Gemini. It's like your love life will be very karmic. That's for sure. So and there'll be like lessons that you have to learn around that might be difficult, might be not so difficult, but regardless, like karma will play a role. And yeah. So the part of fortune down here, like that just kind of doubles down on what I'm saying. Like in Scorpio, like third house, it's basically just like you find your flow state when you're really going towards that destiny part. So like finding that authentic voice, that power in your voice, and in your way of thinking, that's like like where you do, like it's also about doing the shadow work, right? That's another thing. Getting past life tendencies of being like overly like dependent on like overly resistant to change, and moving towards it, and just learning to let go and surrender. So yeah, more with the love life. So that's the first big part. You wouldn't really do well with someone who doesn't understand the Virgo energy. A patient person, someone who you can definitely rely on as that rock, as I said before. Then like also someone that has to keep you excited, right? And there has to be like a very deep intellectual connection with that person. That's like 100% sure. Like there has to be a deep intellectual connection where you guys are like best friends. You can talk about all kinds of topics. And that like, because like you might like leave someone if you get bored of them. And you can get bored fast. It's a Venus and Gemini with Mercury there. And with Mercury there, it makes you very smart, and very, very good at communicating. So it's important to have someone who at least is either good at that too, or very receptive. So then the fact that Saturn's in the 7th, and the 7th is ruled by Neptune, and has Pisces, Pisces, yeah, it would attract you for sure to spiritual unions. Saturn in Pisces also just like speaks about having very, very heavy karma in this lifetime, very heavy karma, especially related to like relationships and partnerships. So that's definitely something. And you would be going through Neptune's probably like right on your Saturn right now. And that's another thing. Like I do like people typically they do this reading, then the follow-up, then the current astrology reading. That one is a live reading, where we talk about like your solar return, your progressions, your transits. The list goes on and on and on. Your solar arc, your perfections, whatever. Predictive astrology basically, and it's like it's like almost like a mini counseling session. So that's like another one that most people book if they're able to like afford it or whatever. And I'll give you a discount on that one too if you're interested. I highly suggest it because it's you can like literally get this reading like once in your lifetime. It's done. That reading, you get done once a year preferably, but like you could have a transit going on that could like literally be affecting the entire energy of your chart. Like I've had clients in the past where they'd like gotten this reading, and then it wasn't until the current astrology reading where they're like, wow, like that explains so much, of like what I've been feeling lately, while the birth chart kind of like was like an overall overview of like me and my life and like what like the parts of me like kind of never changed, but like I haven't been feeling like that part of me lately because in this gentleman's case, he had a square from Pluto to his sun, right? So amongst various different transits square. Anyways, I continue. There could be like lots of like. Also, one more thing about the IC conjunct Pluto, there's a big impact on like when like you getting past your your like shadow stuff with your family has a huge impact on your success. Not to say you can't be successful without it, but by actually handling that tough energy, which I know it sucks, you open up whole new like potentials for yourself and career because it opposes your midheaven. And then Jupiter and Sag, you're the natural teacher, the natural preacher, the natural traveler, like all these things, a very, very strong placement. So philosophy and everything, like understanding the big picture comes very easily. Now with the love stuff, Juno, which represents like your perfect mate in Sag, 22 degrees, mixed with Descendant, which is like kind of what we want in other in Pisces, makes me think that you'd really want someone who is definitely very open-minded, also very, very solid, and all very, very like lots of intellectuality. But yeah, that gives you lots of freedom, and then because that's the first house for you. A lot of your life is about having that emotional freedom to express yourself, and to learn. But yeah, like definitely someone that is also very like where you guys might share like philosophical beliefs, something like that. So yeah, what else? Yeah, so once again, your karma with love will be very, very faded. Try, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Try between Venus and the nodes. You'll also enjoy some like kind of from a love perspective, someone who is also kind of like a homebody, because you as a Cancer, that makes someone, even though it's in the 11th house of like groups and friends and associations and high ambitions and whatnot, like you're still a Cancer, so you might like really like want to like make people like within like the groups you're part of or like friend groups or whatever it is, maybe like your friend groups like are your family, like you have like such a deep connection to your friends and they are your family. But regardless, like you're gonna really want to expand within your own home, and home life will be important to you, and you'll probably want like a partner that also is kind of similar in that way. Not to say that like career doesn't like play a big role in your life, but more to say that even if it does, like like home life is also very, very important. And finding that balance too. So yeah, I guess the last thing I'll leave you with is just the fact that, actually I'll say this before that, Saturn, like everything gets easier. Like, it doesn't have to be the Saturn return like Saturn 10th house people, like you're not only going to have your first like good relationship until that time, right? Like you could have, like, you know what I mean? And that's a very, very dangerous thing to think. But I'm gonna close this. Some Palo Santo. It's a very dangerous thing to think. But basically, yeah, like there will be like lots of like karma, lots of restrictions, and lots of, it all comes back to you, and like kind of how you see yourself and how you start to kind of move through some of that energy that I spoke about throughout this whole reading. And yeah, then as I was going to kind of finish with, where did it go? Ceres is also rising for you. I forgot to say that. So, like that's just like a more Virgo energy of like wanting to care for others, and very warm nature, and like really liking to, there's a big need to learn to nurture yourself, like as well, like you naturally nurture others, right? And yeah. So what was I gonna say? Vertex conjunct Neptune can, in the fifth is that, like, that once again can speak to like how in relationships like you might take on like the leadership role, but also that there can be like a very, very like spiritual but also fun, like a mix of like lightheartedness and also deep kind of spirituality and philosophy and all that stuff within the relationships. And Venus in the 10th is like a lot of people that have that, they end up like, being with people who have like a similar career as them, but it's also a very, very, very good energy for like kind of falling into the right career, and just like naturally just kind of having that, right? Like really, really seeking out beauty through your job, your dharma. I don't like to use the word career, like through your, like what you do, on like a larger world picture. So yeah, spiritual relationship, but like lots of relationship, lots of stuff there. I hope you get the follow up, because there's lots like to talk about, to compare kind of what I said here. I feel something here with like the lived experience. That's always like important to do when you get a reading. Like not everyone, like people get like only, not everyone gets that many readings throughout their life, and a lot can change when you actually like kind of when I'm able to like hear like your reflection of what I said. Now, really quickly, I feel like I'm blanking on something I was gonna say, but whatever. Yeah, don't resist the change. Let it happen. And like when you get this reading, like you'll watch it years from now, and like you don't have to make all these changes right away. Like just understand that like you can relax, and just the awareness. Like if I would hope that this reading has brought like, whether it's not like some new awareness, at least something like to where you're like what's the word, confirmation about something. And yeah, just let things flow in life, remember, Pisces, opposite sign. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And I hope that you enjoyed this reading. And I hope to speak to you soon. Okay. Ciao.